Hi everybody, it's Kevin from Texas Yardman and More, and today I'm going to feature a video on how to change the chain, or the 10-inch chain that's on here, that's on my 25cc Craftsman 2-cycle chainsaw pole saw. And today I was just going to show you how you go about doing that, and I'm going to try to get in here where I can get to it. I've got some tools over here that I'm going to be using. I've got just a standard flat tip screwdriver, and I have the tool that came with the saw itself. It has two sizes for the nuts that you use to tighten or loosen on the chainsaw itself. So I'm going to be using this today, and it also has a flat tip on the other end, so I could probably just get by with using this tool. But I have some other tools here that I just kind of wanted to show, and we're not really going to get into these today, but these are accessory tools that you would use primarily to sharpen your chain. And so I've got a file here, and it has a depth gauge so that you can file the part of the chain that over time, as you begin to sharpen your chain itself, you also have to file down the tooth guide, and that's what this is for. And then here is the 10-inch replacement chain. It's made by Oregon. It's the S40, and that's a brand new one. I'm not going to put that on. I'm just going to keep the one that I have on there. And then I've got some sharpening stones that you would use with the drill to sharpen the teeth on the chain. And there's different sizes. There's 5/32 and there's 7/32. And then I also have a little brush that I'm going to use to clean off any debris. Once we get the cover open, there'll be a lot of sawdust in there, so I'll use this. But let me go back over here and let's set the camera up, and hopefully you can see. We'll zoom in a little bit here. And so we're going to use the tool here, and here's the nuts that you would loosen and tighten to take the chain off. And so you're just simply going to go lefty loosen, righty tighty. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these. And when you're using this saw, your chain will probably come off definitely many times over, so you're going to have to be able to know how to do this. And just go ahead and take these nuts off, and then this is a cover, and on that cover there's a little nut, so we got to use a screwdriver to take that nut off, or I should say it's a screw. So I've got the screw out. Now this cover should just come right off, and you can see inside here, here's the sprocket for the chain, and then now this bar, this is the 10-inch bar, that should be able to slide and come off. And you just simply take this is your bar, you would take that off, and then you got your chain here. And hopefully my saw decides to stay in place here so I can show you better. And then what we'd simply do is just clean it out. And this is actually pretty clean. Normally it's just full of wood chips. And then one thing I wanted to point out is this is how you adjust your bar. And so when we put this bar back on, you'll notice that there's a little guide. Trying to see where that goes. Okay, so this has a screw right here. This is how you adjust it, the bar from tightening and loosening. And you got to make sure that this lines up with the bar hole, which will be one of those right there. You see how when I put the bar on, that little notch right here, the adjuster notch, goes through this hole on the bar. So then it allows you to put the bar on and it sits flush, and you can see that that little notch is inside that hole. And then if you notice, there's markings on here. It'll say 40 DL 3/8 inch, and it has a pictogram on here of the way that the chain should go, so make sure you follow that. And we're going to go ahead and just put the chain back on. We'll put the bar on first, and then here's your sprocket. Make sure that we got the chain on the sprocket, and we can start to put the chain inside the grooves of the bar. You got to make sure it's in those grooves. Okay, which it is now. Then you slide the bar out till the bar is tight. And you got to fight with it sometimes. It's tricky. And right now I can see that that little notch needs to be adjusted. So over here on this side, on the other side of this bar, right down here is an adjusting screw. And it takes a little standard screwdriver to adjust it. And you're going to adjust it until that little notch comes through that hole just like that. And then you pull this bar tight so that the chain stays on the track. There we go. And this notch is coming through the hole here. And you make sure that the chain is on here as displayed right here by the paint marking. And then you want to make sure that this gets put back on. And it's sitting flush. Then you want to go ahead and start your nuts. It takes some practice at this, but once you do it a couple times it gets really easy. Okay. And then when you're adjusting these, your bar, you want to make sure that you have a little bit of a play in your chain. And we're going to start to tighten this so it doesn't come loose. Don't tighten it all the way down yet, because we might have to adjust the bar some more. We just kind of snug it. And if you think that it needs to be tightened some more, you can back these nuts off. I think it needs to be adjusted a little bit more to where it's tighter. So I'm going to back these off. And I'm going to take my screwdriver, I'm going to adjust that screw. And you got to play with it a little bit to see which way is forward and which way is backwards. And it's kind of hard for me to see in there. I'll try this screwdriver. You got to get that flat tip on that. Okay. And once I get this tightened, I'm going to turn it around and show you that adjusting screw. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten this. So you can see that chain, it's got a little bit of play in there. That's what you want. You don't want it to be loose, because if it's too loose, the chain will come back off once you start cutting. So you got to adjust it just right, and right now it's set just right. You're going to tighten these down nice and tight so that that bar doesn't move. And also, one thing to point out is if you have this too tight, the chain will not spin. See, it's already loosened up a little bit, but it's perfect. It's got just a little bit of a gap right in between here at the top of the bar and the bottom of the chain. So this is perfect. Now I'm just going to double tighten. There we go. That's nice and loose, and this is where you put your bar oil in. You want to make sure before you run this that you put bar oil in this, because that lubricates the chain. And this is on there nice. Perfect. It's perfect. It's right where it should be. And I'm going to come around here. I'm going to, hopefully this won't fall off. I'm going to bring the camera around so you can see it. And then we got to put this screw back on as well. That keeps this cover on. And you don't need to torque it down, just snug it. It's on there nice and tight so it doesn't come off and it's not loose. And I'm going to bring you around here with the camera. And hopefully you can see the adjusting screw for the chain. So right down in here, and sometimes you got to take a rag and clean this, and right down in here you'll see an adjustment screw. It's like right down in here. It's a little flat tip screw, and that's what you use to move the chain, well, the bar further in and out, and that adjusts the tightness of the chain. So that's where you would tighten it. And that's all there is to it when it comes to changing your chain out. I do have a sharpening kit here, also made by Oregon. And these, you can get all this stuff here at Lowe's. But basically, here's your file kit. And you have different files that you can choose from, and this is your guide that you would put on here to file this part down, not this part but this part. And it comes with the file, and then here's your angles. You'd put this on here. You would simply put in your file inside these clips, and I just freehand it. I don't use that, but here's your handle, and you simply put your file on there like so. And this video is not about sharpening, but basically that's actually too big. Here's the smaller one. And you would use this file just like this to sharpen each of your blades. And there's a certain angle that you need to come at it from to make sure that you're doing it right. And that is all there is to it. And this is a really good chainsaw. It allows you to reach up to at least, I'd say 8 feet or so from the ground. So it's great for trimming trees, and I use it all the time to cut those lower branches and stuff that I can reach with this. That way I don't have to mess with a ladder. But it runs really well, and it's been a good chainsaw. And so if you're looking at buying one of these pole saws, I would highly recommend these Craftsman. They work really good, and parts for them are very easy to get. You can buy them in store. You can also buy them online. So if you got something out of this video, please like and also subscribe to my channel. That helps me out. And if you want to be notified of any future videos, just hit the notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.